So we already got a group ride. Looks like we got one rider up ahead doing a wheelie. So I'll try to let it play fully before we start breaking into it. My habit as an instructor is like, and just a safety conscious motorcycle rider is, wow. As soon as I see a hazard, I want to like identify it and deal with it right then and there. So it's hard to like watch the full clip and watch disaster happen. I want to just be able to pause and like fix it before it becomes an issue. Anytime you're on a group ride, it's a potential to be a recipe for disaster, kind of a circus sometimes with the way people ride in groups, and especially if you have riders that are inclined to do stuff on their own and individual rides. Like if any one of these riders in this group enjoys doing wheelies down public roads and racing and kind of hooliganing around, as soon as you put those riders into a group, into a pack of like 20 or 30 or even 10, whatever, that kind of gets compounded. Then everybody's feeding off each other's energy, right? One person starts doing a wheelie, now another person wants to do wheelies, now everybody's got GoPros filming, so they all want to film each other and get some cool footage of them doing wheelies, and it just compounds more and more until nobody's paying attention to the road or hazards or threats. They're all just kind of playing around and watching each other and egging each other on and hyping each other up to get cool footage and do cool stunts and kind of goof around. And that becomes a very dangerous situation very quickly in a group ride. You need everybody fully alert, fully aware, ready to go, in good positions with good space cushion, following distance, watching out for threats and hazards. Everybody needs to be tuned in. That way the whole group can stay safe, and every one individual in the group as well. As soon as everybody's kind of distracted, that all breaks down. There's no awareness, no communication, and then you have people crashing and wiping each other out. So let's check it out again. So as soon as I see this rider doing a wheelie, I'm on alert. I want to separate myself from this group, or at least widen my space cushion. Okay, so that rider takes a hit in the back right there. That's what that little bump was. And he's even adjusting his mirror, it looks like, at one point to check out this group that's behind him. Yeah, right there. Let's see if we can get that again. So they're coming up to a red light. Boom. You see that little impact happen. And then the rider behind him's bike is sliding across the ground. Let's see if we can freeze it on that. So yeah, he peeks back like, what was that? Something hit me. And you see a motorcycle on the ground. Yeah, so you can see the tire right there on the bottom left side, already laying on the ground. Also, another thing I do when I pause the video here, I'm just looking at kind of the overall gear situation, protective gear of the riders in this group. Looks like the rider who's filming may be wearing some like Icon 29ers, some cheapo little gloves, and a black sweatshirt. The rider right across there that we can see looks like a white tennis shoe and some socks showing, maybe some, black jeans or sweatpants, and then just a hoodie. So very minimal protective gear is one thing I noticed right away. So you already have that kind of hooligan, wheelies, goof around mentality. We're in a group situation. We're wearing minimal gear. We're maybe speeding, maybe not following all the traffic laws and rules of the road. And now all those things are starting to stack up, and just, it's already risky to ride a motorcycle when you do everything correctly. But now you're just adding risk on top of risk when you start doing all these things and making these mistakes. So then your percentage of something bad happening just rises and rises until it eventually hits 100% chance that you're going to have an issue. So yeah, you can see, it looks like this is the rear view camera of one of the riders in front looking back. So we had a couple people in the front of the group, a couple people in the back, maybe 10 riders or so in total in this group ride. We had riders in the front doing wheelies. Looks like we have more riders here in the back doing wheelies. I think this one in the back is the one that ends up having the issue and then runs into the rider up ahead. So you can see he's in mid wheelie right now. He comes down and then boom, you see how quick, how much power that motorcycle has in that throttle. As soon as that front tire comes down, he whiskey throttles that thing and it's just zooming down the road, taking him for a ride. And he's hanging off the bike, dragging his legs on the ground and just trying to hold on for dear life. And then this rider that's ahead of him here in the middle lane, he's just kind of cruising, approaching this red light, not expecting anything, and boom, your buddy wipes you out from behind. Boom. Now, fortunately for everybody involved, it was just kind of a minor impact right there. It looks like the front tire connected with the rear tire, just kind of bounced rubber off one another and then fell over. And obviously these guys are used to doing stunts and wheelies, so he's got a bunch of crash bars all over the bike. So looks like minimal damage to that, but this rider who's currently on the ground looks like just a pair of blue jeans, right, and tennis shoes and a black sweatshirt. So your legs are taking a bunch of damage from the slide. Your knees are hitting the ground, probably at least doing 30, 40 miles an hour here. That's not going to feel good. That's going to lead to some big-time injuries and bone bruises, maybe fractures, a bunch of road rash. It's not a good time. So this is something you want to avoid and be aware of. Yeah. And then, all the other people in the group are like almost running that rider over when he comes to a stop as he's sitting on the ground. And then, he's quick to pick his bike back up and hop back on. You got that adrenaline pumping through you, but, his knees, his legs might already be beat up, depending on the injuries he's sustained right there. So the adrenaline might fuel you to get your bike up, get back on, and continue with the group ride. But this is a good time to call the ride a day and go get medical attention and think about life and stuff. We also got a 2-up rider here. So, yeah, risky situation with group rides. I've been in some group rides where everybody was focused on riding properly and safety, and everybody in the group was pretty experienced, responsible riders, and there were still issues that happened where, just based on the nature of motorcycle riding, things can get risky, space cushions can close in, people can have issues and make mistakes and get into crashes. And so even with a really advanced group, I'll say, doing everything right, there's still a good percentage chance that things can go wrong and crashes can happen. So anything below that with a less experienced group, people not doing everything correctly, not safety oriented, then there's a big time chance for big issues. All right, let's check out the chat. Lovato, one thing that really stuck with me is to ride like I got a target on my back, and you really push to the notion that I need to be hyper vigilant because mistakes can kill you on a motorcycle. Cool. So hypervigilance, we were just talking about mistakes, and ride like you have a target. Yeah. So there's a big common piece of advice that riders give one another is to ride like you're invisible. And I heard that when I first started, and I kind of took that advice and was like, okay, but I wanted to go one further and think about how to improve on that piece of advice and like be even safer mentality wise. Do I just want to be invisible and sneak through the cracks and stuff, or does it feel more like other motorists are targeting me and out to get me and swerving towards me and cutting me off and like actively trying to do me harm and damage? If I'm thinking I'm invisible, that makes me feel like I can kind of just sneak my way around without much issue. But if I feel like people are hunting me on my bike and I have a target on me, that feels like I need to be way more defensive and like more prepared, checking my mirrors, looking around, not trusting these huge vehicles on all sides of me or other motorcycle riders that might run into me. I need to be like constantly on alert and moving and gaining information and awareness and anticipating people are coming to get me from all sides. Then I can position myself and maneuver myself around to watch out for that and to avoid that. So glad to hear that's a big one that's working out for you. That's one that's helped keep me alive on my motorcycle for many years. So glad I could pass that on. And the hypervigilance thing, yeah, I think that kind of comes from that. If you get used to that feeling that you're riding with a target on you, it gives you that heightened sense of awareness and vigilance that I need to stay full alert. If I let my judgment or my awareness lapse even for a moment, then they'll get me, right? So you stay full alert 100% of the time. It can be kind of mentally exhausting if you're, at first and for a while, but eventually you kind of get used to it, and it makes you such a better, safer rider because of it. But yeah, it'll take a lot out of you to kind of maintain that heightened state of awareness. You can make for exhausting motorcycle rides, but you're alive, so that's a good trade-off in my book.